What's up, y'all? It's Just Rhonda. We back for a new one. Love is Blind. I'm on some new, and I like it. This was very entertaining. I appreciate y'all for getting me involved in this conversation, because, child, I spent the last 2 days entertained like, I don't know what. So, this is season 6, my first season. For those of y'all like me that are late to the game, it's a wonderful social experiment. They over here putting these people in dating pods, and they go on 15 dates a day. Now, I don't know how long they was in that pod. Do anybody know that? How long they be in the pod? I'm gonna need more than a few weeks to be in a pod talking about I love you and I want to marry you, but hey. What's the check like on the other side? Y'all be really so addicted to matrimony and yourself to somebody, you'll do it in a pod dating social experiment that makes you matrimony somebody after 4 weeks of dating. Child, that's funny to me. Anyway, let's don't waste no time. Let's get into these couples. We're gonna start. We're gonna start with the more easy connections and work our way into the complications. Things get complicated. Boy, I tell you what. Anyway, first we got Amy. She's 28. She's an e-commerce specialist. And we got Johnny. He's 28 also, and he's account executive. Now, they're a very cute couple. Their conversation was very easy. They, eased into the situation seemingly without being attached to anybody else. If there was any more connections, I didn't see none with these two. We focus on the production on this show. They know how to tell a story, child. Just saying, they know how to tell a story. I'm very much caught up. Amy and Johnny, it was real cute and everything, how they laid around. I like the pods. The little pod situation is real cute. So they're sitting in there, they're getting comfortable. I feel like a lot of times, like over the years, we have been introduced to many new styles of dating. Back in the day, you had to I don't know, call somebody up, hope they line ain't busy. We had call waiting by the time I was dating. So it wasn't like we was getting busy signals, but when I was, a small child, you had to pick up your phone. You didn't have no caller ID or none of that. You had to pick up your phone. And if you was talking on the phone and if somebody call you, you get a busy signal. And you got to wait on somebody to get off the phone before you, can talk to your person. My mother used to go to work and be like, and I bet not had a busy signal. So we was at the house, like not using the phone because we were scared, she was going to jack us up. Anyway, these people are pod dating. I don't feel like it's so different from what we do on a day-to-day. I feel like you spend a lot of time on the phone. Now there's texting. There's a whole lot of romance developed over texting and how you communicate with each other on a day-to-day basis. The difference, I think, is when you're in this pod and there's only a wall separating you from the other person, you get into their energy. This is just the way I believe things work. I think that's why the connection is a little bit stronger, because the person is there. The only thing that you don't have is what they physically look like. You're not spending time in their personal space, but you close. I ain't never seen, why none of y'all, was y'all walking up to the wall? I would have walked up to the wall. Yeah, see what you smell like something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Touch your hand up to the wall. Let me see if I can get some electricity up and through there. Amy and Johnny. He's a cute little white boy, and she's a beautiful Latina. It's like a love story that we've seen on many movie screens, honestly. Like I said, their connection was easy. They're sharing stories with each other and breaking down barriers and let people get in a little bit closer. Amy has a special needs brother that she says she could possibly be responsible for one day. And I'm like, now that's the kind of conversation you need to be having with somebody that you're talking about. Y'all going matrimony, so, let's get into these things. What does that look like in your real life? I feel like a lot of people skip past that. You get all into the hormones and things and, rose-colored glasses and whatever happens to you when you're blinded by the light. But in this situation, she shared that. So what does that look like? That's, I guess it depends on the severity of his situation. But it didn't scare Johnny off. He likes her. He didn't, that's what life is about. You never know what type of situation you're gonna find yourself in. And if you got a partner to do that with, then that's even better. Johnny over here letting it slip out. I love you. I was like, what week is this? How many dates have we had? And he was like, forget it. Like he's falling like in love with this. And she has like this really pretty Spanish accent, you know what I'm saying? So she looked like everything he probably imagined her to. But it was real cute. I feel like beyond the romance, there's some cultural differences here when you're dealing with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. She's a Latina. Listen, I am very deeply bedded here in Point Siena, Florida, in the Latina community, Latino Hispanic community. And there's a lot of traditions. Like right now, you can't hear it, but I can hear it because my neighbors have decided that whatever they're listening to, we all need to listen to within a, I don't know, 5-mile radius. Anyway, I don't speak Spanish. And the Spanish that I do speak is very bad. I understand a lot of it, but and it's like it's crazy because you would think I would speak Spanish based on how much it's around me. My kids are better than I am, but I have managed to communicate. It's so funny because I've had classes with students who don't speak English and I don't speak Spanish, and we have figured out a way to communicate, and I figured out a way to educate them. So I understand the culture, even if though I don't speak the language. I don't speak the language. I'm spending too much time on this, but it takes a certain amount. I don't want to sound crazy. Like my mouth have a hard enough time keeping up with English. You know what I'm saying? I just said 5 years when I meant 5 miles. So my R's don't roll and that kind of thing. So I'm just not going to be up here looking a fool. You know what I'm saying? I say the words that I know how to say and that don't sound crazy coming out of my mouth. But I communicate fine in this community. I say that all to say, because it's not about me. It's about Amy here and Johnny. Spanish culture is like very, family oriented, and they're traditional. So, we'll see. We'll see how they deal with that. And there's some racism involved, you know what I'm saying? To some extent. I mean, when they meet face to face, it's really cute. It's like a storybook romance. And she's like, he's not typically what I date. Normally, I date a darker skinned, ethnic man. When she says darker skin, I think she means Spanish darker skin. I don't think she means black. And, that's based on, how she's embedded also in her family. Next, we got Kenneth. Kenneth is a 26-year-old middle school teacher. I want to know, what are the qualifications to be a middle school teacher? Middle school is like 8th grade? Yeah, so they're like 13 to 15 and they're absolutely crazy and impossible to deal with. All in the building. That's the school that they separate from everybody else because they're too bad to be hanging around with the elementary school students, and they're too fast to be hanging around with the high school students. Have to put them in a building all by themselves. And now we've got Kenneth here, who's 26, in charge. I'm not knocking his qualifications. I'm just saying, seems like that's a young age to be a principal of a school. Brittany is 25. She's a senior client partner. I don't know what her job is. Some kind of, they all have these like titles that are kind of cute and funny. Anyway, I don't know what her job is. He did say that she at some point, I think, used to teach. So they do understand each other on that level. That's dope. They have the same type of core values of abstaining until marriage. Teach his own. They both have grieved the loss of a parent, so they understand each other on that level. There was a lot of connection and a lot of similarity in their lives in the way they were, come up and dealt with emotions and the things they had to go through. I can see that Kenneth is mature for his age. I will say that much. But he's also like, I can see the immaturities in him too. And just like the first couple, they're gonna have to deal with the scrutiny that comes along with being an interracial couple and raising biracial children. So anyway, they like each other, child. They like each other. They went through the process. These are the people that came in the process. These two couples came in the process, found each other, worked on their connections, and what no drama. Now we have the love triangle. Things get a little more complicated when there's a triangle, I see. One thing is for sure. The first two couples, like I said, it was real easy because there wasn't no interference. And if it was some interference, we didn't see it probably because it didn't matter enough. Because this girl is over here, you know, like I said, looking like she's straight off of a movie screen, speaking in that very beautiful voice that she has. Even when she talks, it's nice. It's no wonder why young Johnny was over here mesmerized by Amy. The love triangle. We got Laura. She's a 34-year-old account director. Jeremy is 32-year-old intralogics. Logics. I don't know what he does, but it's something with construction. Intralogistics. I don't know what any of that is. Anyway, he got a little paper, I feel like. His job come with a little cash, credit, all the good stuff. Sarah's 30, and she's a customer support manager. That's cute, Sarah, whatever. Jeremy has a big personality, and he's kind of a douchebag also, because so there's a ladies' lounge and a gentleman's lounge, and Jeremy has some behaviors over in the gentleman's lounge that, were concerning. Like he's a prankster. She don't always be funny, Jeremy. Anyway, these two women that he's chosen have big personalities too. I feel like you would have to, you know what I mean? Because Jeremy needs somebody that's going to slap his hand, tell him to sit his ass in the corner and think about what he just said. Sarah is really talkative. Child. She's a kind of a social media girl. They talked about her Instagram, her TikTok. I was a little bit nosy. She got 11,000 followers on her TikTok, but Laura got more. But I'm having a feeling that came from this show. Like, I feel like everybody's social media got a little ramp up after this. Child, well, we'll get into it. Sarah says she's conservative. Of course she is. She over here on TikTok and stuff in a bikini on talking about she's conservative. She's kind of a party girl. And that's okay. You know what I mean? But I think that's like kind of what the connection was with her and Jeremy. It was all about fun, 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 fun. And I don't think Jeremy is like always like, I think when you start growing up, how old did I say that was? When you start getting a little older, yeah, they're all in their 30s. You start thinking a little different. Jeremy got a little coin. He also lost a parent, so I feel like he's ready to get that type of family traditional thing that he had as a kid. He talked about Christmases and things of that nature and how it was, with his family growing up and his grandmother. So after a while, you want to turn away from that scene a little bit and settle down with who is it that, I could partner up with, somebody that's going to complement what I got going on. Honestly, when I look at, well, I don't want to go too far into things. Let me just stay on task. They touched on politics. I thought that was a good conversation, Jeremy and Sarah. She was, talking about pro-choice, pro-life. Jeremy seems to be, I don't know. She said she was conservative. I don't think Jeremy said one way or the other. He said he pretty much feels like, people, you do your own thing, none of my business. Your choices are your choices, kind of thing. He definitely feels like, as far as women's reproductive system, he has no business in that conversation. I appreciate that about Jeremy. So, so far we like him, aside from his little asshole. He can be a little asshole. Now his connection with Laura is a little bit different. Him and Laura have the same snarky kind of sense of humor, but Laura's a little more grown, a little more serious, and probably a little more in the direction that Jeremy is trying to go in. He feel like he's straddling the fence to me a little bit. He still got his foot dipping over there in the party scene, but he's not trying to really, he's trying to fall into something. Like I said, he growing up a little bit. I don't think people just flip a switch. I think it's a transition. You got to step on out of that scene and into a little bit of, what's not the scene. Especially when you get older, because you're like, there's a bunch of 12-year-olds in here, and I don't want to go hang out with them. They don't know how to act. Him and Laura, they discuss family, and she talks about how she doesn't like Christmas. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, because he just talked about like how embedded he is in the tradition, so to speak. And I guess she's had some things, in her childhood that just, Christmas has that effect on some people. Some people, it's just not their thing. But maybe it's because she hasn't had it in the way that, the traditional way of having it. Sometimes when Christmas doesn't go, everybody, that's the complaint you always hear. Hey, everybody's fake happy. And I am not an I hate Christmas person, because as far as gifts and things are concerned, my children are grown and we don't really care a whole lot about that. It's just about everybody hanging out and eating some good food and that kind of thing. So it's for me, I like the tree and all of that stuff that goes around with the energy that is Christmas. But sometimes people have the opposite, reaction to Christmas. So I don't know. I just felt like that was a conversation that was very opposite, honestly, when they had it. And wondering like how that's gonna look when you're talking about planning families. And no, Jeremy, I told you he's a little prankster. So he did something. We having a little pod date. Laura comes in there, and he was like, hey, and she's like, you know who this is? He said, hey, Sarah. And she was like, nah, not Sarah. Now they done talked to 15 people. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's just having dates with Sarah. They talked to 15 people, but I felt like, Jeremy, you knew that wasn't Sarah. You knew that wasn't Sarah. You did this shit on purpose. And it was manipulative, Jeremy. Why you do that? That's not the only time he's done it. Then he turned around to tell Sarah, hey, is this Sarah for real? Because I didn't call somebody else your name. Why you do that? I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it kind of feels like he did. In the end, after, they go through the process of these pod dates, he feels like he has more of a physical connection to Sarah and a more mental connection to Laura. And I'm like, how you got a physical connection with somebody that's like on the other side of the ball, child? That's what I mean about that energy. Just without even seeing her, he could tell. You know why? It's because she's the party girl. You know what it is. You she'd have told you she got her lips plumped up and she be's over on Instagram with her bikini on, in so many words. He know what it is. These subliminal hits in there, he's probably like, I mean, I'll smash, but at the end of the day, he did tell her that if they ever got to California, if she went with him on this journey, that they would go visit his dad's grave. That's a lot, Jeremy. Jeremy, he went ahead and made a decision to go with Laura. He's not going to be disappointed. She's a good looking lady. And when they meet, they're definitely attracted to each other. So they're gonna run on into this thing and matrimony each other. Look, y'all, I didn't make this show up. I just came here to watch it. This ain't no way you gonna get me to matrimony somebody after 4 weeks. Clearly, I've made a decision not to do it at all, but I'm just saying. Y'all, chug on, sisters and brothers. I feel like these people have no business here. Y'all have multiple connections. It's just a whole circle of love happening over here. Two circles, two whole circles of love. Jeremy is like, I got to figure out whether I want the party girl or whether I want the girl that seems like, based on what we've talked about, she would be the better wife. And he made the best decision, I feel like. Now, these people over here, pay attention because there's a lot of players. You got Clay. Clay's 31. He's an enterprise sales and he's an entrepreneur. Then you have AD. She's 33. She's a real estate broker. Matthew's a senior financial advisor and he's 37. And Amber's a 31-year-old medical device salesperson. Where do we start with this circle of love? Let's start with AD. AD. So AD's been out here dating ballers and athletes. At some point, she, danced for, where they from? Charlotte Hornets or something like that. She was, cheerleading and things and dancing over there. So she's used to being around athletes and ballers. I've been over there. It's a rough little situation over there for you ladies out here trying to become a basketball wife. I've been over there and I was like, this ain't for me. AD is looking for somebody that's going to love her for herself and not for her physical attributes. So for her to be behind the secret door, it's for her to have somebody get into her heart and her soul. If you have daughters, please don't read them fairy tales. Find something else to read them. AD is out here collecting red flags and painting her nails to match them. Now she's quite aware that that's her problem. And it hasn't stopped her from, what does she call it? Being a fix-a-hoe. She out here fixing these hoes. Or at least trying. Hoes aren't fixable. I guess they have to fix themselves. So she has a date with Clay. Oh, Clay all day. Ho Clay, because he's a hoe. Clay all day, every day. I mean, that's how he came in the room. We had a whole song about Clay. Oh, Clay, oh, Clay. It was on, 5 minutes in, we still talking about Clay. He's tall, he's good looking. He's a baller with a big personality and a big ego and a big bucket of red flags. And he brought him in there for AD, and she's like, "Oh, sit him over here on this table. Let me paint my nails." He comes in the little pod. AD's standing in there. She brings her little baby voice. Clay. Oh, Clay. Oh, Clay. That was hard. I don't have no baby voice. I don't know how y'all do that shit. Oh my God. It's terrible. And he ate it up. He was in. AD and Clay, they're bonding on, I think, being similar. They're very much, both of them, image is very high on their list. I know that little baby voice AD over here wants to think she's different from Clay, but she's not. She happens to have an extra bucket of red flags right there next to the ones that he brought her. They were good, she was feeling it because she's used to, she's in her comfort zone. So she's used to talking that smack. But then he, after a few dates, tried to get her to divulge to him what she looked like. And she did not appreciate that because that's not why she's here. That's the whole point of this, is to fall in love with somebody for their heart. and not their physical attributes. And then she's tired of that. It don't matter that she got a fat ass, 5'5", thick thighs, and brown eyes. He don't need to know any of those things. All he needs to worry about is how to win her heart. He over there talking about, I think I want a cat because you don't got to take care of them. I'm like, yes, you do. They don't need a lot of love. Clay's looking for things in his life that don't need a lot of love. Just need them to make him look good. Then there's Matthew. Where did y'all find Matthew? Matthew needs a episode. Well, he damn near did get an episode all to himself. This is so funny because Matthew came to play the game. And I appreciate him for that. I mean, you're going to play the game, play the game. He showed up in his Clark Kent costume, acting like a nerd, being all stiff and weird. He's like a whole super nerd with a, what do you call it, square in his pocket. It wasn't that bad, but he was sitting there like this, like, I don't know, I'm very uncomfortable with social settings and like, I don't know, I'll just see what happens. And when they showed him, I was like, well, he's fine though. How? Look here, Matthew got here. He had a list. He had a list of 15 questions, and then you're gonna ask him, pick a number, any number. He's gonna ask you the question, and this is how we're gonna move through this process. Now, he was real tight in the beginning. I feel like in the beginning he was real tight, just based on the way he treated the first couple people, but then he kind of like eased into it a little bit. So first day he goes on this with Jessica. Jessica, real cute. And he told her, yeah, so I got a list of questions and I just want you to pick one and, we'll move from there. And she picked a question. I think she said 15. He read her the question. She answered the question. And then she ended the, answer with, what about you? And he said, I didn't know I was coming here to have somebody ask me the same questions that I just asked them, picked up his shit and walked out the door. So, nope, not a match. In my mind, I'm like, what the hell? What? I know y'all did a psycho evaluations and things. Y'all's production team is good. Ready to Love. This is what you need, not Lamar or Alfonso, whatever hell his name is. This is what you need right here. You need to cast you and Matthew. This nigga was crazy. He also went on a date with Sarah. I got 15 questions. I need you to pick one. Pick a question. She picked a question. He asked the question. And she apparently answered for a really long time. Sarah was talking and talking and talking, and the production just made her go on and on and on and on and on. And he just got up and left while she was talking. And I was like, I feel you, Matthew. I have been around people that make me feel like I want to just. So one time, went to like a family cookout situation. I don't want to say what it was exactly, just in case that person figure out who I'm talking about. But I went to a family, get together situation. We having, cooking out, setting up, barbecuing things, garage, backyard. It was plenty to do. And I had a cousin that I don't cousin with, and she started this conversation with me, and I literally was like, I'll be back, and walked away because I was like, I'm not. She'll be all right. She'll find somebody else to talk to. So I was feeling Matthew on that because I was like, this girl's still talking? Jesus. And remember, Sarah is like the social media girl, the party girl, that he could be farther from that. So, yeah. Then he goes on a date with Amber. Amber, pick a question. She picked a question. He was like, too many people that asked that question all day already. Can you just pick another one? So she picked another one. She didn't like, And then he was like, you have nice energy. And I was like, uh-oh, we got one here. We got one here that's connecting to Matthew. He listened, leaned over, loosened up his tie a little bit. Amber got him a little, he's getting a little comfortable. Next date, AD. Child. This was a whole Lifetime story. That should be titled The Ted Bundy Story, because that's how this shit was. Is this how Ted Bundy like wooed all the ladies like Matthew did? He walked in there and AD in her baby voice was like, so what are you here for? And he was like, well, I guess we just gonna jump right in. But instead of him walking out the door, he decided he gonna sit down and answer the question. Next thing you know, he laying on the floor, and every time we see a date with Matthew and AD, he's giggling and loosening up his tie, and personality just keeps blooming and blooming, and she's talking in that voice, and oh my God, and you make me feel so safe. And the shit that was coming out of his mouth, I mean, I feel ridiculous. I feel played. I feel played just like all of us do, Matthew. Great job. I mean, I feel like Matthew had us all out here catch feelings because, who was he up against? Clay all day. Oh, Clay, oh, Clay, oh, Clay. Yeah, okay, Clay. Ciao. Clay talking about, I can't see myself committing someone who I'm not physically attracted to. So you better be glad she didn't tell you, because it didn't work out for everyone who tried to go down that road. I'm just saying. Now, the way they're playing us is we see AD is the only one that brings out this type of energy in Clark Kent over here. Matthew, we really enjoy watching him open up, and he's just in the gentleman's lounge and he's not talking to anyone. He's being really awkward, sitting in the corner, and all the guys like, what's up with this nigga? Like, they coming back from the dates, like talking about their connections and how their date went. And Matthew's sitting over there like a psychopath in the corner, just observing everything, looking like Clark Kent. And we waiting on him to take them glasses off. And I don't even like white boys. I mean, it's not my flavor. I'm gonna tell you this though, because the trickery that's going on with the clear men, Matthew, over here on TikTok, not him, but there's this community of tattooed, bearded white boys with no shirt on, singing like Aaliyah records, talking about how they like the black girls. I don't trust it. I'm just saying. Anyway, he peeps Clay really out the. I mean, it's hard not to peep Clay because he, over here telling you how he's Clay all day. All day he's Clay. It's like a Dr. Seuss album, record, book. Jesus. He went in when he was talking to AD and laying on the floor and was like, if you like are looking for that guy that's like life of the party and really outgoing, and I'm not that guy. She over here like she's still mad at Clay because he tried to find out what she looked like. So she's, oh Matthew, you just made me so happy today. Matthew over there taking notes like he was writing things down. Check. Got her. One thing. Now, if we have not learned anything at all, one thing we do know is what goes down in the ladies' lounge. Do not stay in the ladies' lounge. Now, AD over in the ladies' lounge with Amber. Amber done told her at one point that she done made some man cry. Her connection. She ain't given up the name of the connection yet, but he poured out tears to her. Now they're talking again, and they're finding out Amber's a little talkative one. She said she had a good date with Matthew, and AD was like, she said, yeah, Matthew was over here asking her like, he want to call her father to ask her hand in marriage because she's chosen her. And AD's like, wait, what? He asked about your daddy because he did the same thing to her. So Matthew is over here telling Amber and AD the same thing. And I can't tell if he was just enjoying watching the whole thing play out. I definitely think he's got to be as entertained as we are watching himself pull this shit over here. Well, when AD shared, what was going on with Amber, Amber was like, we ain't playing that. That's not what we doing. Mm-mm. So she was like, I'm bouncing. I'm like, not connected to anybody else because you've been over here being wooed by, first of all, the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. He was laying it on so thick. Ladies, stop it. He was saying things like, I feel like my whole reason for living is that's why I came here. And you're my best. What did he tell AD? My biggest accomplishment in my life was finding you. See, like by the time he starts saying stuff like that, I was like, I don't know, Matthew. That's a little over the top. It's kind of crazy. Like it's too crazy. I can't be your biggest accomplishment. We just met yesterday. Now, AD, after she find out she'd been bamboozled, then I don't know why she did this. She went to Clay and she wanted to tell Clay like what happened with Matthew. And his reaction was like, the weird nigga? The Ted Bundy nigga? He in the gentleman's lounge crying because he can't believe that Ted Bundy over here and scooped his girl. AD was about to leave with Matthew. She wasn't thinking about Clay, oh Clay, all day, and his bucket of red flags. She'd been there, done that. She was about to go off in the wild blue yonder with Ted Bundy. Girl, do we do that? We have to stop doing that. We have to like pause for a minute. That's why you can't like rush off from one thing into the next thing. You gotta take your time. You gotta pause. You gotta really that would be the downtime. That would be the good time for therapy, so you can analyze and find out like some of the choices you're making. You can't be so desperately running away from the things that you did in the past that you hop your happy ass into the Porsche with Ted Bundy. AD is mad at herself because she fell for the fairy tale, but we all did, girl. I don't think we was in it as deep as you were. Because the point in which he started talking about calling his mother and stuff, I was like, this nigga's getting weird. And it's also funny, like how we are distracted by how somebody being attractive. Because if Matthew was ugly, this fairy tale wouldn't have happened. We were all looking at Clark Kent like, I mean, Matthew's a nerd, but he's probably like he's seemingly smart and probably, based on being a numbers person and stuff, probably gets paid well. So we could take his glasses off, get him some contacts, and look like he'd be at the gym. I'm just saying. Can't do that. All good things don't come in cute packages. Sometimes there'd be a bomb in there. Can we say that on, YouTube, child? Amber left. Matthew knew like to get the jig is up, so he done left with her. He like, might as well don't stay. It's not fun when I can't be manipulating people. I just want to see how far I can take this thing. You did a good job, Matthew. We gonna miss you. Anyway, I guess she's just gonna settle for Clay and his basket of red flags. I mean, she can because he doesn't seem like he has any other options. He's been over here competing to win her heart and find out what she looked like. And she's used to ballers and players, so I'm sure she'd talk a good game in her little voice. Play all day. Okay. Both of them are very much image based, so I think they both think it's a good look to get to the end. And I would say for the first few episodes, it was the Matthew and AD and Clay show. We didn't even know about Amber till we got down to the ladies' lounge. I don't know what's going on over there in those conversations. I guess, production did that. They did that to us. They couldn't let us see what the game was because they knew we was over here being bamboozled too. Sneaky little snakes. Y'all won't catch me twice. Got my eyeball on all these jokers. They choose each other, child, because who else they gonna choose? And they get down to the reveal, and she shows up in a tight dress and her fat ass, and he's like, "Okay, okay, this'll work. This'll work for Clay all day." And so he got down on one knee and gave her a ring. On to this other multiple connection situation. We got another circle of love, honey. I don't know which one was more interesting, to be honest, because they were both pretty interesting. So in this circle of love, we got Jessica. Jessica's a 29-year-old executive assistant with a 10-year-old daughter. Jimmy is 28 and he's a software salesman. We got Chelsea. Chelsea's a flight attendant and an event planner. And Trevor. Trevor's 31 and he's a project manager. Now, Jessica's a real pretty girl now. She's a beautiful woman, so she's entered into a social experiment that will require her to be relying 100% on her personality and not on her looks. I feel like Jessica gets a lot, based on what she looks like. And I mean, hell, we were all on the trail to follow damn Ted Bundy's ass with AD. So, I mean, what's good for the goose, I suppose. Jessica has a 10-year-old daughter, and she has decided that during this process, she's going to keep that on the back burner for a minute and let the man get to know her before she springs that on him. And I say, Jessica, that is a bad idea. Don't do that. That's not what you want. That's not what you want. If you want to show him who you really are, who you are as a mother of a 10-year-old daughter, and that should be part of the conversation in the beginning. When I was out back in the day and my son was little, I had I'm talking about it like within us, like, "Hey, what's your name? How you doing?" It's a few sentences in. You know what I mean? Because, and if they didn't ask, I would figure out a way to bring it up. Like I had to take my son to school. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know that this is part of my life. Because if you're not about that life, then you need to keep walking. So she should have given him the heads up about that from the very beginning. She connected with Jimmy. She straight out the gate started calling him her husband. Jessica was in some other kind of fantasy, like she was going to come there and find her husband and take him home to her daughter. Terrible idea, Jessica. I don't know why you're here. I hope it's not to get to the matrimony part. I hope it's only for the exposure, because don't bring anybody that you don't know, that you've only known for 4 weeks, home to your daughter. Y'all moving in with each other and stuff. Okay, then. She had a rough life growing up, and she's a Capricorn, so she's got this beautiful exterior, but the it's gonna be hard to get to the center. Child. I think it's easy to open up when you talking to somebody without, it's like a confessional. It's kind of creepy. It did remind me of a confessional. Supposed to go in the confessional and confess all your sins. I never fell for that one. I was like, this is a trap. Not doing it. My sentence was always gonna be 5 Our Fathers and 5 Hail Marys, because I was not about to drop no real tea. I think Jimmy likes Jessica. They have a genuine connection, but Jimmy is not sure that he wants to be a stepfather. And based on the fact that Jimmy did not find out in the beginning, he had to reset. Because whatever he was getting is not what he thought he was getting. He was getting that plus a whole child, and that's a big deal. He also has a connection with Chelsea. They laugh a lot. Jimmy don't like a lot of pressure, and so Chelsea's easy because she's not about to rock the boat too much. Chelsea is really insecure. She said that guys are usually mean to her, and when she be out on a date, they be looking at the TV. They don't be looking at her. That's not funny. Who are you picking? I feel like she goes after that guy that doesn't appreciate her. What the fuck? A fly or something in here. It's driving me crazy. Jessica had a rough upbringing. She was born to drug addicted parents, and then her parents, spiraled out of control. I guess her father was locked up for some period of time, and then she came home. He came home, and she lived with his father, and then he unalived himself, and then I got that sucker. I got it. Woo! And then he unalived himself. Then she ended up in the foster care program. And then she was adopted, I believe, by her foster parents. And then she had a baby when she was very young, 17, 18 years old. So she's got a story. And I think, she's genuinely looking for love. And that's a lot of baggage for her to carry. And then she's carrying it all in a beautiful package. But she went to the extent of sending him this, giving him this box, like professing her love. She was just going so hard. And I don't know if she was going hard because she knew she was competing with someone, or, you know what I mean? I don't know if it just became about her winning. And she's used to winning because she's so pretty, but she doesn't have that to her advantage. And her competition is not in her same league. Let's just put it that way. Now, when they in the ladies' lounge gossiping, as time goes on, I feel like they start knowing who's each other's connection is. And so I have a feeling about Miss Chelsea and how she manipulated this whole situation. So Jimmy has this date, like I said, with Jessica. She finds out that she tells him that she's got a child, so now he's feeling some type of way. Then right after that, he goes on a date with Chelsea. Him and Chelsea are vibing at first. He's not in the greatest mood because he just, he's still processing this whole like, dang, she got a kid. Why she didn't tell me that? And then right behind that news, him and Chelsea are talking, and Chelsea's, I've been married before. That's, he was like, what? So now he acts like, and I have 100% feel like, and I feel like he really, like, he was just acting that way because he just found out this other news. It was a lot. It was a heavy day, but she doesn't know that. So now she's like reacting to the way he responded. Now she crying, and I was like, girl, what are you crying for? Jesus. And then her other person, Trevor comes in there, and they have a conversation. And Trevor and Chelsea had the best vibe. I'm not understanding what was it in Jeremy that made her choose him. And I halfway feel like she chose him because she's competing. Like it was some type of way to make her feel like she could win the man over this girl, this beautiful girl, Jessica. When she told Trevor about her previous marriage, Trevor was like, people be acting like you don't have a past. Like, he took it in stride. Okay. And what happened? She told him this story. He received it. And the connection between these two was very, I don't know. I liked it. I think, she's a dumbass for competing in a place where she didn't have no business competing, because Jeremy is not, he ain't worth it. I think Jeremy is still out, not Jeremy, Jimmy. Jimmy is still out here being a player a little bit. And I say that because his immediate connection, it seemed like, was with Clay. So they out there, doing whatever it is they do. So Jimmy goes on another date with Jessica, and they're still talking, but she's like putting the pressure on him now to make a decision. He's not ready to make a decision because she has a kid, and I'm not mad at him for that. She wants him to, make this decision and choose her, and he's like, "Yeah, but I don't know if that's what I'm trying to be doing." You know what I mean? And I have to respect him for that. Chelsea over here, on the other hand, doesn't have any children. She's been married before, but now that he's processed like that, that's no reason for him to be mad or upset. They're cool. They're talking. She's taking his mind off of Jessica and whatever it is that, Jessica got going on over there. All of a sudden, Chelsea goes, "Has anybody ever told you you look like a celebrity?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Who?" I don't know, child. Now, Chelsea said the people be out here telling her that she looked like MGK's wife. I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend. Girl, Megan Fox.
Who had been saying that? Who said that? Who said that?
You look like Megan McCain. You don't look like Megan Fox. I'm just saying. Who? First of all, nobody is saying MGK's girlfriend. We know Megan Fox. She has her own name. If anything, they're saying Megan Fox boyfriend. Child. Soon as she said that, she not like it's just because my eyes and my dark hair. Not that's it. That's all. That's and I'm like, girl, you know what you did. And this is where I think she's manipulating. Now, Jessica is very similar to Megan Fox. She's the same size and the long dark hair and those poochy lips that looks like, somebody assisted her having. Um, yeah, she's definitely giving Megan Fox. And I'm like, does Chelsea think that Jessica looks like Megan Fox? So she gonna go tell this nigga that she looked like Megan Fox, which was a horrible idea because honestly, Chelsea's not a bad looking girl. Now she ain't Megan Fox, but you should have never told him that because he was gonna react the same either way. Jimmy is shallow. Jimmy, you shallow and you fell for the okie doke. You should have talked to your black friends if you have any. Clay, why you didn't tell the man?
Why you hook me up with that fat ass bald head girl?
Who, Rita?
Yeah.
Rita is not fat. She's just big bone.
Shit. That girl wide and all outside. Talking about she looked like Janet Jackson.
Oh, no, she didn't go there.
Yeah. Bitch got.
In the long run, I think the fact that Jessica had a 10-year-old kid and that he was about to go ahead and get with this girl that looked like Megan Fox, that just, helped him seal the deal. After she said Megan Fox, I don't think he saw nothing else. Now, every time he thinks about her, in his head, he got Megan Fox. He's not thinking of just the hair and the daggone eyes. And how come you didn't tell Trevor that? Trevor don't have no other connections. Trevor was only focused on you. And that's what doesn't make sense to me. And that's what he told her. Jimmy chose her and she said yes. And then then Trevor asked her, he said, if I would have seen you first, would you have said yes to me? And she just threw her head back like she didn't have an answer. She didn't say yes, she didn't say no. He was like, well, that's all I need to know. Like your silence speaks volumes. So you was gonna go with whoever chose you. And that's crazy. Trevor, you dodged the bullet, child, because this girl got a lot of insecurity issues. Ain't nobody trying to be reassuring her from the time you wake up in the morning to the time it's your girl. I can't help you through your insecurities. Child, when they got down to that reveal, and this girl, Chelsea, came slump skipping down the aisle. She came from behind that door. Oh, Jimmy, it was written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. We already knew you was gonna get you've been bamboozled, my brother. It's okay. That's what you get. I'm not saying he should have picked Jessica though, because I feel like if you don't like wanna be raising any children, I don't want you anywhere around mine. Point blank and period. He was like, I like your dress. Ciao. So now that all the couples have met and chosen one another, we're off to the DR for a honeymoon so these people can spend some time together and get physically connected and not just mentally connected. So you see all the couples, they're huggy and kissy and they're riding around the resort. They're over in the Dominican Republic. Um, Jimmy and Chelsea got back to their hotel room and Jimmy said, I totally forgot what you look like. Why does he say these things? Jimmy, why do you say those things? Sometimes, everything that's in your head should not come out of your mouth. I'm sure she loved hearing that. And she shouldn't have lied. She said she looked like Megan Fox. They sat down to talk and Jimmy brings up, I thought somebody told me you went out in the lounge talking about he loves me, he loves me. You said you weren't gonna say anything. And she was like, oh, who said that? That's a lie. I did not. I didn't. I didn't say anything. I swear on my mother. All I did was tell Laura that, you said you loved me. And I didn't know she was going to go run her mouth. Yes, you did, because y'all know who's friends in the ladies' lounge. You told Laura of all people. I feel like there could have been other people. You could have shared that with Sarah. She probably wouldn't have went back to Jessica and told it. And Laura, was she being messy? I don't think so. That's her girl. She should have just told the girl, like she didn't want her to go in there and be blindsided. Let her go ahead, get it out of her system, because Jimmy ain't the one for you anyway, Jessica. She's sitting up here talking about he ruined her experience. No, he didn't. You chose him. You could have chose other people if you were just trying to leave with a husband, just any husband. Whole time Jimmy is telling her, what was going on and how Jessica was already, you know what I'm saying, and said he was the reason ruined her experience. And she was like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he was like, and then she brought up looks. And Chelsea was like, what'd she say about looks? He said she was telling me how I was gonna regret my decision when he sees what she looks like. She was like, oh, well, so are you sure you made the right decision? Are you happy with your decision? I need you to be 1,000%. Are you sure you're happy? You're not disappointed? Jesus, girl. And Jimmy keeps saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You don't sound good, bro. You sound like you're trying to convince yourself. I think Jimmy just doesn't want to look like an asshole. So he's like, he don't want to be like, Jeremy and Laura are enjoying each other. He's really silly. Johnny and Amy, they're all lovey-dovey. AD done got in a bathing suit. So, Clay is very satisfied with, what he got to show around down to the basketball court and the office or wherever he shows off his things. Clay keeps calling himself a baby. I'm like a big baby. No, you're not. Are you listening to him, AD, talking about he a baby? Not a baby. Grown ass man. I'll be out here searching for protectors and providers. That's not the job of a baby. Why is he acting like he didn't know he was supposed to wear a wedding ring? What planet are you from, Clay? Kenneth and Brittany, they're cute. They have a moment. Every time I look at Kenneth, I just think of how young he is and how much he's taking on at such a young age. He seems to think he got it all together. They did have a conversation that night when they laid down, and he said, and this was his suggestion, he said, I want us to always unpack the day before we go to bed at night. And you get it off your chest, like what your day was like, and I can get it off my chest. And I was like, I like that. Unpack your day. It don't even have to be right before bed. But I think as couples, y'all should unpack your day. You know what I mean? Vent that shit out. And then like what you don't get to know what each other's day is even like. Jimmy and Kelsey got in the bed and she laying there talking about what's the first thing you noticed about me? And I'm like, that you don't look like Megan Fox. That's the first thing he noticed. And he over here talked about your teeth. You got big white square teeth. And I like teeth. And you also have big boobs. She's like, that's not romantic. Jimmy, you could have said you have a nice smile. He didn't say that. He said, I like how you have square teeth. Oh my God. Chelsea said she had braces for 9 years. And I was like, man, I had braces for a year. That's a long time. 9 years? 9 years of your life you have braces? What was your teeth look like before? How old were you when you got these braces? I feel like we've been in the DR for a day, less than a day. And this girl repeatedly keeps asking this man, do you like me? Are you sure you made the right choice? Are you 1,000% sure? Are you 20 million% sure? Trevor would have reassured you. Trevor would have. He wouldn't be having you feeling out. I think she would be insecure either way. Maybe not. Maybe she's only insecure because she knows that at some point her man Jimmy gonna get to meet Megan Good. This other option that he had over there in the pod. Jimmy keeps reassuring her, but I feel like he's also reassuring himself, like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I like you. I like you. The next day, the couple spend some time getting to know each other. It's cute. Like it's gonna be different in the real world. You don't just lay around in a pod, all day. Clay and AD were at some type of little spot, getting a little bite to eat, having some cocktails, and she's over here counting calories. AD. And Clay is like, you don't have to count calories, girl. I'm not gonna let you get out of shape. And the way he said it was terrible. She's like, at some point, I'm going to have your children. That's okay, because we're going to drag your ass right back to the gym. So if she doesn't look like that, then Clay, what are you saying? He did say he wanted to have some therapy and he wanted to do it together. Good, because you need some, because you got issues that you can't be telling somebody like, AD says she's in therapy. I guess she just started it. And she says she felt like she didn't deserve love. And honestly, I will say, even though he's a jerk most of the time, he did a good job of handling her feelings in that moment when she said she didn't deserve love. And I was like, that's because Lord knows I don't know this girl's life. But I feel like AD leans a lot on her body to attract. She's a dark-skinned girl. She got weave in her hair. We know how that's situation is here in the United States and probably other places too. You got people over in Africa doing skin bleaching and so I feel like unless she has this body, she's not gonna feel beautiful. And I feel like that might have something to do with her feeling like she doesn't deserve it. I don't know that she's always got this attention that she, probably didn't hit until she was about 15. You know what I'm saying? And as we age in life, she ain't always gonna be working with that. And you can't be with some man who feels like unless you look like that, then he, is not gonna be attracted to you because, you know, unfortunately for us, they get out here. Well, I don't want to say unfortunately because we can make those same choices in terms of going younger, but ain't nobody trying to child trust me when I tell you I know. Chelsea is out here being nervous about being in front of Jimmy in her bathing suit. I feel like Chelsea is so insecure about herself that she probably should have gotten some therapy before she came here too. Because she, Anybody got time to keep telling you that all day long? I would feel weird asking, like, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Girl. I knew it was a problem when she cried. And not only did she cry, and this is back over at the pod, she cried when he reacted, however he reacted to her, to the news of her being married. And then the next day when he came back, she apologized. And I'm like, what did you sorry for? He was the one that was insensitive to your feelings, girl. Now she want to ask him, what kind of woman are you attracted to? Like all of her questions are revolving around what he's attracted to. I mean, Megan Fox, girl. He reassures him. I don't believe him, and she doesn't either. That's probably why she keeps asking. If I'm not convinced, then she's damn sure not convinced. But girl, you're the one that brought up Megan Fox. I feel like how would this have actually played out had you not said that? He can't undo that. So we don't know what he would have reacted like had you not brought up Megan Fox. And I don't know too many men that aren't going to be attracted to Megan Fox. So, you know, there's going to be a few out here that's going to be like, she ain't my type. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I feel like most of us don't have no little body like Megan Fox. Some of us are more comfortable in the thickness of the thing. But I live in a place where that's appreciated. Just saying. And apparently Jimmy does too. Time to meet the other couples. Everybody's cute. They're all dressed up. They got a little evening, happy hour situation going. The girls are gossiping. Chelsea's over here telling them that Jimmy got a big old dick. No, thank you, Chelsea. The guys are actually talking about, I mean, look at my girl. We did a good job. You did a good job. Your girl's cute. Are you happy? Did you do? Chelsea said that man's thing was huge, all the way down her chest. Okay, Jimmy. I don't believe her, but okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. These are not things I would be sharing with the ladies. That's information I probably wouldn't have taken back to the group. The funny thing is, like, they've all been dating each other, so it's cool for them to get to see this person that they've been talking to this whole time. Because as far as I know, people don't go home. They just go through the process however long it is. And whoever, ain't no eliminations over here, child. They just don't show you no more. Like whatever you was doing wasn't it. So we're not even gonna put it in the program. Imagine if you went around telling your people you was about to be on Love is Blind and then they just see you sitting in the ladies' lounge and never ever see one of your dates. It's a lot of lovey-dovey going on. Chelsea is running behind Jimmy, asking him, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. She's hanging and swinging on the man, and he happened to look over and he was like, dang, that lady's stacked. He's looking at AD's behind, and she got on a tight little dress. But AD knows her asset. She's not going anywhere without letting us all see. So insecure Chelsea, instead of saying, I'm gonna need you, because had it been me, I'm gonna need you. Now you've appreciated it, don't appreciate it no more. And make that your last time you bring up somebody's ass. Now I see her ass too. I'm not gonna act like you didn't see it, but I'm gonna need you to act like you ain't looking at it. Jimmy. That ain't what she did. She gonna say, oh hey AD, how you get that ass, that bookshelf ass? And AD is like squats and Jesus. And I feel like why are y'all like all having a whole conversation about her physique? I didn't appreciate it. It just felt like y'all was objectifying AD in a way that, was unnecessary. Jimmy and AD were having a conversation. I was confused by what was happening over there. I mean, they said they was talking about Clay and the process and blah, 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 but it was very flirtatious. I think that's just AD is a very flirtatious girl, and Jimmy is flirtatious right back. So it was probably innocent, but the optics was giving something different. Now this girl over here talking about she about to throw up. I'm about to throw up. I feel sick. Jimmy and AD are talking. Chelsea sitting over there with Amy having a whole meltdown, talking about I was trying to call it out, and I called it out, and then he was like spitting her around, and I was like, did he spit her around? I didn't see that. He said he didn't do that, and I did not see him do that. I mean, he was noticing, but I'm sure they all did. They just all had the good sense to not say it, Jimmy. All I'm seeing it. And the ones that seen it went over and dapped up Clay, like, okay, boy, I see what you're working with now. And jackpot. Not this one. He over here talking about, damn, her ass. He came over there to chat with the girls, and Megan is over here. Not Megan, shit. Chelsea is over here looking pitiful. Like, what do you want this man to do? He just over here socializing and being fun, but he needs to come over there and kiss you and tell you he love you in front of everyone so you'll feel comfortable. AD and Kenneth have a little conversation. She took him to the side and they had a discussion about race because he's never dated a white woman before. And that's going to be a big deal. I appreciate the way they had that conversation because he has to be realistic. How's your family going to feel about it? Because all of these things are going to affect your relationship. If her family is going to be good and your family is going to be good, then y'all can move forward as a stronger unit. It's hard when the families are opposing it. I feel like she said she dated black men before. So she's not her first black relationship, but she is his first relationship. They're about the same age, but women mature faster than men. And once again, they over here objectifying AD. I don't understand what the fuck is being dip, and why would you tell your man to come slap my titty? That's weird. And then Jeremy, why are you saying it out loud? I feel like I don't know what that conversation was, Laura, and I don't know what it's being dip because I ain't never heard it before. Now I'm with Jeremy. You made that shit up. I'm just saying. I don't know how I felt about it. But what I do know, Jeremy, is if your woman tells you something in private, you ain't supposed to go repeat it in front of everybody. You knew darn well that was not something to be repeated. But he did that same thing over there in the pod, talking about, hey, Sarah, when he knew better. I feel like Jeremy be doing shit just to be an asshole. He getting up mad, talking about he ready to go home. Well, you the one that brought it up. What is you mad about? And another thing Jeremy was doing, I didn't like. Back over when they was over at the pie place, they were in the gentleman's lounge and they were kind of ribbing Matthew a little bit because Matthew didn't talk to nobody. So they was trying to figure out, who his connections were. They probably thought he had none when he over there bagging the big dogs. And something it was Jeremy and Trevor and Matthew. And then Jeremy like took it to a place that was not cool. Even Trevor got up, was like, this ain't what I'm here for. So he got up and walked away while Jeremy was being an asshole. So when Jeremy does things that just come across like mean, and that was mean, like he legit like started some shit and then got mad at for what? Because you could have kept your mouth shut. Like you're not stupid. You got a whole logistics business going on. You're not stupid. You know that telling that girl about slapping her titty was not gonna be funny. He got up and left because he may go home. Chelsea gets back to they get back to their hotel and she looks at this boy Jimmy and says, what's wrong? And Jimmy's like, nothing. She's like, what's wrong? He was like, nothing is wrong. I think you're lying. And he was like, I'm not, nothing's wrong. And then she turns it on to, he's like, well, what's wrong with you? Well, now she's crying because you were over there and I was standing there and you just didn't read the room and it was making me feel icky and you were noticing AD and he was like, oh, sorry. And I called it out, and then you like kept on going, and you didn't pay attention to me, and you didn't tell me you love me, and I was making me very uncomfy. I swear to God. That was the conversation. He kept saying sorry. She kept repeating the same shit over. I was like, he said sorry like 15 different ways. What is it that you want him to say? She feels icky and sad. I feel icky and sad. And you just didn't try to make me feel better. He's like, sorry, I love you. Jimmy, we don't believe you. Now look what you did. We're all confused. What's wrong with this girl? You know better than tell your girlfriend and look at somebody else's ass, Jimmy. Child, that was the first 6 episodes. That was a lot. I'm about to go. They just released episodes 7, 8, and 9, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to those. I'd like to say tomorrow, but I don't want to lie to y'all. But I'm on it. I'm on it, y'all. In the meantime, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and we'll be back to get into this, honey, because paradise is a problem. It's over. There's trouble. We got trouble over here in the DR. Bye, y'all.